Oh my goodness! I told you Bungie were going to save the game and finally post a trailer, or give us a thing. Okay, enough of me failing to be sarcastic efficiently right there. We do have a new Renegades trailer today. Very much surprised by this, to be honest. Even though we're now going into kind of the marketing period for the new expansion, this one is a trailer dedicated to weapons and gear that includes legendaries, by the looks of it, but also a few bits of exotic loot. So all of this stuff coming to Destiny 2 on December 2nd when Renegades drops, of course. And I suppose right here we will jump in and break it down. As always, if you guys enjoy the video, a rating very much helps us on the channel, but now let's get into it. As always, the first thing we should do with the trailer is check it out in full, so here it is.
Welcome, Renegade. I have another bounty for you. But I don't pay for mercy.
So there we have it, pretty cool, as always. Bungie generally do a good job with trailers. Nothing has really changed on that front. And with us now being a month out from the expansion, we're finally getting a bit of a better look at least some of the rewards. Bit more detail, I suppose, for elements of this new content drop. The trailer starts out in the new hub space that we're going into for Renegades. And here we'll be encountering a bunch of different enemy factions with familiar enemies, but unfamiliar factions, I suppose. And this will kind of be the base that sets us off bounty hunting and retrieving loot from the lawless frontier in Renegades. We see the spider straight away. I actually noticed the spider, or Spider, which is his actual name specifically, in one of the other trailers. Kind of makes sense that Spider would end up in a place like this. And then there's plenty of glamorous footage, showing off different gameplay components for Renegades in general, and starting to show off various weapons. Now, this is where the Star Wars theme is obviously pretty strong, because we're getting blasters, vented weapons, so the weapons in Renegades will have kind of a heat management system as opposed to traditional reloads, or at least that will be true for many of them, which fits into that Star Wars theme, and the first one they show is the Uncivil Discourse hand cannon. We can see it's got a pretty long-range scope on it, obviously kind of inspired by the classic Star Wars pistol or blaster weapon. Looks like it's going to be a fairly high-impact thing, almost like a hand cannon sniper. There will additionally be the modified B7 pistol, which is the next weapon they show. It's clearly a faster firing thing, although the gameplay seems to have been timed to the music more than anything, so hard to say how this will stack up versus archetypes that we currently have in the game, but a slight Star Wars vibe, less so than the traditional blaster style weapon, I guess. And we're seeing various bits of gameplay here on the different areas that we'll go to. We know that we'll be going back to Europa, Venus, and Mars as almost Star Wars inspired or vibe type destinations. I guess they line up with spaces we've seen in Star Wars quite a bit. I initially thought that this weapon was going to be a grenade launcher. It's actually a pulse rifle, and we did see this in some of the other trailer footage before. Pretty typical burst pulse rifle, this one with strand damage. And then this one, which is very much Star Wars vibes, the refurbished A499 heavy sniper rifle. We can see it's got iron sight kind of scopes on it. Again, we get minimal gameplay here really, but potentially a single shot weapon and then a reload. And obviously with Bungie pushing the boat out in terms of archetypes to kind of line up a little bit more with Star Wars, there's potential some of these weapons will be quite unique. Otherwise, they also show off the M17 Fast Talker. This is a submachine gun. Looks like it'll have stasis damage, A bit more of a modern looking weapon overall. Again, we see the vented reload on this one. And in the background, in terms of architecture, far more Star Wars-y looking stuff than perhaps what we spotted in other trailers. Otherwise, there is the Compact Defender, obviously going to be a new sidearm. And it's clearly a void weapon as well. So a good look at a handful of weapons there. Again, I'm assuming those will be the legendaries. But immediately you'll spot the Hunter exotic armor. We can see, obviously it has void effects. This one's called Fortune's Favor, a new pair of Hunter boots. So it simply reads that the shield recharges over time into an overshield. So I would assume if you don't take damage that actually knocks your shields down, it will grant an overshield over the top, so it essentially may be rewarding us for not taking a lot of damage, I guess. Otherwise, Titans get a new chest piece called the Praxic Vestment. It is certainly not Twilight Garrison, but maybe Bungie read the memo in terms of having a mobility exotic. And it gains us an advanced tactical air move, which is very interesting indeed, basically turning into kind of Superman momentarily. Obviously, I imagine this will have a limited range on it, possibly is tied to other ability cooldowns even, but it seems to conclude with almost like a knee to the enemy target right there, or a kick, so that looks pretty bonkers to be fair. Kind of excited to try that. Also, here for the Warlocks, this looks very cool as well. Is that Daimo Suffusion, if I'm saying that correctly? Obviously, for our Warlock friends here, Rift suspends enemies, and Suspend causes damage over time, so actually switching out what some of these abilities do. So we just get a brief look at those exotic armor pieces. We'll get at least 3, with it being 1 for each class, and then, kind of predictably, they show the Praxic Blade. This is obviously a very key exotic weapon for this release, given that it is a lightsaber, but it will allow us to reflect incoming fire, as well as having a melee and ranged attack on it, so we can see some of that in the gameplay. We've also seen these lightsabers come with different elements, so that will obviously be a component of this, and Bungie also indicated that it will have numerous different upgrades that we'll discover over time in the new content release. So it's cool to see a little more of it, and then there's the Heirloom, a new combat bow. Obviously Bungie continuing with the crossbows here, this time with the Star Wars theme. Is it Chewbacca that has the kind of crossbow thing going on, if I'm not mistaken? This one fires high-powered explosive bolts though, so it looks more exotic in terms of the actual effects that the weapon produces, and the sandbox component, which makes sense, because I'm guessing it is an exotic, since it's being shown there at the end with the other exotic weapons. So there we go, that's the trailer. Overall, looks pretty cool, I suppose. And really, it's a better look at stuff that we've already had little teasers for. As I've said myself previously, I know some folks aren't super into the Star Wars theme. I don't really know how I feel about it, but in terms of the bubble of Renegades content, I'm looking forward to having some new stuff to do. It will almost certainly be more premium than what we had with recent updates, Ash and Iron, which makes sense because it is an expansion, and while I'm sure Destiny will still have plenty of issues, I don't mind having a, whatever it is, 2 or 4 week honeymoon period where there's some new stuff and things to chase overall. So that's kind of my impressions of it for the moment, guys. If you enjoyed the video, a rating really does help us out. Importantly, give us your thoughts about all of this in the comment section. But otherwise, thanks for tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.